You all recognize these guys? You guys think like these guys, Gagarin, Shepard, Grissom, Glenn, and the rest of them were the first ones to leave the Earth's surface, first humans? Better think again. There was another group that beat them. There were 7 TV adventurers in the 1950s who were the first humans to leave the Earth's surface. And this is the first one of them, Captain Video. We've all heard about him from Watching the Honeymooners. Well, he was a real TV show that first aired in June of 1949. It aired 5 times a week, reaching millions and millions of kids. You can see here that he has really high-tech equipment that's often made out of things like, a spark plug, a muffler, a rear-view mirror, and an ashtray. It was really low budget. The budget for this show was about $25 per week, so about $5 per episode just on props. So nonetheless, it was a huge bonanza. And this really sparked a lot of kids' imaginations and got them reading comics and toys and all kinds of things that really got people going. The second show was Tom Corbett's Space Cadet. It was loosely based on Robert Heinlein's famous Space Cadet novel, and it aired in October of 1950. Some historians cite this show as the origin of the term blast-off. Now, this one also had a pretty inexpensive budget. If you look right here, those are paper clips that are his antenna on his helmet. But the neat thing about this one was Willie Lay was a consultant on the series. So unlike Captain Video, there was at least a sliver of some scientific accuracy. Additionally, he was the most successful of these early 1950s TV series. He had everything from comics and lunchboxes to Viewmaster reels and Halloween costumes. And it was even one of the shows that made the jump from TV back to radio. There was a radio show. The third most popular series was Space Patrol, which, unlike the other two, was produced on a West Coast. So it had a little bit of a different feel. It was set in the 30th century, as opposed to Tom Corbett, which was in the 24th, and Captain Video's 22nd century. This here is Ed Kemmer, who was Commander Buzz Corey. He led the Space Patrol, and he was a real World War II ace who was shot down in Germany and was a POW. They traveled all around the galaxy, of course, like all the rest of them, and along with Captain Video, spawned lots of licensed material, and along with Captain Video and Tom Corbett were one of the big 3. Between the 3 of them, they sort of brought about the end of the serial era in Hollywood. So when you began to see the end of the serials, this is why, in large part. This one is the least known of them all. His name is Rod Brown of the Rocket Rangers. You may recognize that actor. That's Cliff Robertson, who played Uncle Ben in the recent Spider-Man movies. This is how he got his start on television. This first aired in 1953, and it also featured people like Don Knotts and Jonathan Winters as guest stars on it. So it has a real big, real nice history to it. Unfortunately, no episodes are known to exist. This was before the age of videotape when things were shot on kinescope, and there are no episodes. This one, Rocky Jones Space Ranger, was the first syndicated sci-fi kids show. Unlike all the others, it was shot on film, and you can still see this quite easily on DVD. It is out there. As you can see, they kind of dressed, at least in the first one, a little bit casually. It was designed actually to be a series of movies, but they shot it and showed it, never showed it in theaters, and ended up being shown on TV in three episode arcs. This one here is a guy named Captain Zero. Unlike others, he was more of a time traveler than a space adventurer. In fact, he was the first time-traveling TV hero. And his motto was to learn from the past, to plan for the future. So despite the fact that he often went to the past, every now and again he went out into outer space. Here again, you can see another example of the super expensive budget that they had for things. His laboratory was actually built out of his rocket ship called the X-99, which, when he wasn't busy repairing it, he occasionally went out in outer space and spacewalked and did things like that. The last of these Super 7 was Colonel Ed Mccauley, who was on Men into Space. This was adult, this show. It premiered in September of 1959, 2 years, almost to the day, after Sputnik launched. As you can see, it gives a whole new meaning with his cigarette promotion to Let's Light This Rocket. This one was a little bit more realistic in terms of things. Chesley Bonestell helped develop many of the space concepts for it. And all of these guys really helped ignite the imaginations of youngsters of the 50s who later became the Apollo technicians and the Apollo, not so much the astronauts per se, but the guys behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, you can see in that last one that they brought a Tom Corbett Space Cadet lunchbox into outer space. But really, as we think about new space, let's not forget about old space and the men, both real and fictional, who inspired us to look to the stars. And while it was often viewed as kid stuff, it really helped propel us into the future.